Hello, welcome back again to my YouTube channel, having fun with tech. So, if you're here today, maybe because you saw my post on LinkedIn about the Redux basics. If not, maybe you're just coming here freshly new and you're looking at this. Welcome. In this video, I'll just be talking about React and React Redux, the basics, and how to get started as a beginner. I'll just run through what I had created, something basic here, before we get into the code editor to do something fun and basic. So Redux in JavaScript just helps us manage our states. So if you've used use context before, you're used to how to transfer data centrally from components and using it easily among other components in React. Redux helps do the same thing, exact same thing, but when we come to talk about the difference in how it's used, use context is said to be used with smaller applications. It helps in small applications when you don't want something complex, just something small and basic, then go ahead with use context. But Redux helps with more complex applications that brings about scalability and you've been able to keep track of your data flow and making it organized. React Redux is used. And it also helps us with file organizations. It helps separate concerns within our app, meaning we can manage different slices of our state interdependently, making our code base easier to maintain. And yeah, looking at this, Redux is JavaScript that helps us manage the state of our application, period, just as use context is. It helps us store our state centrally. Why should we use it? It helps prevent prop drilling just like use context, and it provides a single source of truth, basically. Now, the three core concepts you need to know about Redux is the store, the actions, and the reducers. The store helps us hold the entire states of our application throughout the process of building the application. The store holds every state of our slices and keeps it here in what we call the app folder we'll be creating very soon. We have our actions too that describes the events we can take place like increasing, decreasing, adding stuff, performing a function and stuff like that. With the user's function and specify how the state changes based on certain actions. You'll be getting to know about that works together with the action. All right, let's get to the program right now. Let's get to test it out. Let's get to code it out. I'll be going to my code, my VS Code here. I've created a basic folder here, and all we just need to do is start creating our code. The first thing I'll be using Vite to create it, just like I think you saw in the slide. I'll be using Vite to create it, and I can just do this by saying npm create Vite at latest. Now, since I want it within this folder, I'll just use the period. It close these, and I'll be back once it's done loading it. All right, I decided to fill in every detail, every file, every code, so as to avoid boring you through me writing the code. All I just need to do in this video is explain the code process and how it works for you. React Redux and how it works. So the first thing I want you to do is go and install your React Redux and at Redux slash toolkit. All you just need to do is just go to the terminal and just put in npm install, say React Redux. Just put this in, and you also want the Redux.js slash toolkit. You need these. So you needed two of these. I already have them installed, so you need to install them before moving on. Just make sure when you get to your package.json, you have these there. Alright, that being said, the next thing I want you to do is create a folder within your source directory. Create a folder called app. So it's a custom. It's something we do as developers when working with React Redux. We create our app, and within the app we store our store.js. So we create our store.js file within our app. Our store is what takes in our reducers, our actions, whatever it is we're performing. And each of these reducers are slices. Now, a slice is just a part of a function, the one that performs a particular function relating to certain aspects. For instance, I created a feature folder too that has a counter feature, and within the counter feature, we have our counter function just like we normally would, counter component. Then we also have a slice for it. This is the tricky part and not tricky. this is a slice. So instead of us creating our use state and stuff within the counter, since we know these increments and decrements of stuff, if we want to share it across different components, we don't want to drill them using, we want to avoid a prop drilling. So we can access them easily just by accessing the store and calling the necessary things. All right. So we just need to create our store and configure store. Import your configure store from Attributes.js toolkit, and I want you to create this variable store that takes in a configure store function, takes in an object called reducer, and leave this empty for now. So you're not going to have this initially, you're not going to have these initially, but leave the rest the way it is. It's like your template. Make sure you have that registered in your configure store, and you have your template for the store that takes in the configure store function and also takes in the reducer. So within this, we're going to be having our as many reducers as possible, but in this case, I'm just dealing with the counter, just a basic counter. Now, create your features folder, create your counter folder, and you can now put in the components like you would for the counter, and also create a counter slice. .js. So before all that, after you creating your store, I want you to go to your main. In your main.jsx file, I want you to import the provider. Your provider comes from your React Redux, and also import your store from wherever location it is you've stored it. Mine is from the source. If you do the same, then this should be the same part for you. So you import your store from these, and all you need to do is put your app within the provider. So you're going to wrap the provider around the app component. So you have a provider tag here with an attribute of store, which takes in the store you're importing, and that's all you need to get it started. Now go within your counter slice that you've created. We're creating a slice. So for each slice you'll be creating for any feature it is, you're going to have to create a slice. So you're going to have to import create slice from redux.js/toolkit. Remember in your store you have to create import configure store from redux.js toolkit too. So make sure you know these things. Then you also have to export counts, your count slice, and it takes in your create slice function just like you did here. That takes in the configure store, and you're gonna give it a name of counter and initial state, which takes in the initial value of whatever it is you'll be storing. So in this case, I'm having a value of 0. For instance, if you want to store a list, you just have to put in, for instance, say posts. You just give it your name of posts and give it the list of the posts you want to put within this. And definitely you're going to have your reducers. Within the reducers, you're going to have the actions that you'll be performing within your counter wherever it is you'll be importing it. So we have our increment, which takes in the state, the value of the state. Increments is by 1, which is the value here. And also state takes for the decrement, you have this, it takes in the initial value and decreases by 1, the normal thing. So all you just need to do to work with it is export it. Export your increment and your decrement from your counter slice or actions. Remember I said these are actions. So this is how you export them. So counter slice the actions, which is the name we give it here. And we also have this select count. Now select count here just helping us taking the value and easily render out the value wherever we need it. So for us to access the initial value, all we just need to do is store it and create taking the initial state of it and say state.counter.value. Just accessing the counter state and its initial value, so we can, and let me not say initial value because this value will definitely be updated when you increment it. So it's going to take in the updated value of wherever it is we're storing there, which is our value in this case. So with the post, like I said initially, it will just be counted of posts. So it's all based on the naming you give it. So that's exported, and you also export your default reducer. Now this reducer is what we're going to need within our store. That's what we're going to have to import. Now we're calling that counter slice or reducer. We're just shortening it for our counter reducer here, and we are placing it within this. So we're giving the name of counter, we have our counter reducer. Just like that. So Without exporting all we need to export and creating all we need to create, you go to the counter, we create our counter normal the way you create your counter component. There are two things you need to import from React Redux, the use selector and the use dispatch. The use selector is used to access the updated value, just like I said, like in this case, the select count that we have here and we've created in our slice. So we're trying to use the initial value select count here. So all we just need to do is import the use selector which will locate where it is, and we give it a variable name of count. Now see the use selector should access the value select count which we already have here. Access the updated value. So definitely at all time your count will always have the updated value based on the action passed. Talk of action, they use dispatch is what we use for our actions. So use dispatch is used wherever we want to perform whatever actions we have within our reducers here, like the increment and the decrement. You can have the reset and what have you. So with the dispatch here, all you just need to do is create a variable called dispatch and equate it to your use dispatch function just like this. I have a basic structure for my return statement here. I have an H2 that takes in the count, the updated value of the value we have within this, takes in the updated value based on the actions we've passed. And we have our button here to increase or to decrease. So how is it called? We have a callback function here that takes in the dispatch which we created here, and also takes in whatever action we have to perform within it. So be it decrement, be it increment, we have it within it. And just like this, it works just fine. We can check it out. We can increase the value, we can decrease the value, and everything will be just fine. Now, if I'm to use it within any other component, all I can just do, maybe create a new feature, say post. I don't know why I'm saying post, but let's just say post, and I'm having a new file here called post.csx. I shouldn't have called it that, but let's just keep it like that. I know there was a name spelling and I'm a wrong spelling there of the post in terms of the naming convention, but let's just have it like that for now. What I just want to do is make use of my use selector from React Redux. All I need is the updated value and I want to render it within here. So I can just say posts and use my use selector. Now for me to use the use selector, remember I have to create of value for it. Let me call it the same value we call it within the counter function. Let me just say count and I'll say use selector. Now within it, remember I need the initial value which is what we stored here, select count. So I need to import it within post. So I need to say I need select count from this count slice that takes in the use selector that takes in the select count, takes in the updated value. So all I need to do is put it here. So right now I'm having two separate components accessing the same slice. Now this slice is here because it has to do with the counter, so but I may need it somewhere else. This is all I need to do to access it. So all I need to do is go within my app.css and try to put in my post. Just remember your P and O is all caps, so it's imported like that. And let's check it out. We have post minus 2. So as I change this, it updates dynamically. That's to show you how it works. So you can do much more advanced stuff with React Redux. It is much fun. And if you're coming from use context, you see it's not that different. At least it's just a little bit different. But use context can get a bit scattered and cluttered if not well managed. But in this case, you can have everything, each slice and each function having its own slice that can be managed independently. And you can work on it and access them wherever you want. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please do us a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.